Right about now. Good morning, Kenya. My name is Kev Matara Utada the Beast.
Sounds of Riley.
And our hashtag is morning vibes. I hope mko fiti. Right now tunaingia kwa hiyo sasa the main segment of the show. Musa Manga, this is now the big one. Yes, conversations za ukweli. Unajua uzuri issue si ujangana. Get to actually talk about matters that affect all of us in one way or the other. Na pia tutawapata chance ya kutupigia simu. So if you have any questions for our very amazing guests, kumbuka bana, unaweza enda hapo kwa hiyo hashtag morning vibes. Better yet, lines will be open on 0719012700. We are very, very excited about that. Unaona janga pia uzuri ya Dekai on a Thursday is that we usually have we give you a platform to listen to powerful stories from amazing Kenyans out there doing things, you know, who've probably gone through some powerful experiences. Na leo yani we're bouncing off the Dusit attack anniversary. Hii attack ili happened in 2019 on the 15th of this month, January. Yes, and because of that, I have some special guests up. Even were introduced, and they'll get to tell us exactly nini ile happened your day Dusit attack. Kumbuka, we had about 21 people who died. Na hii story bana ukiangalia hapo kwa social media, if you can remember it very well, your day news. And you know, terror attacks in this country ni kama yani tumeanza kuzoea in one or the other. And the good thing is, well, I don't know if I'm allowed to even say the good thing is that these experiences teach us to kwerada yani. So we can take care of our friends and our family and make this country a safe space for us to thrive. We create an environment for us to become the strongest version of ourselves as a people. And I think I start with the Empress on my left-hand side.
What's up? Niaje?
Tuko fiti sana.
Kwa majina naitwa Rose Gishura and I am a victim of Dusit attack.
Exactly.
It's not a good thing to say or a label to have, but it's a reality.
You're a victim. Inamaanisha but the ulini educate hapa. You say there's a difference between?
There's a difference between survivor and victim. Survivor ni mtu alisurvive, alikuwa on the day on the ground. Victim is anybody who was directly or indirectly affected by that actual attack.
Right.
Yeah.
But then guys, tuko live on YouTube, right? Yeah, tuko live on YouTube and Facebook. Kumbuka unaweza stream live pia on www.vibesradio.co.ke. And my brother on my right hand side, unaweza introduce.
Thank you so much for having me. Kwa majina naitwa Dr. Oscar Gidhua.
Yeah.
I'm a forensic psychologist and I am also a PCV consultant or expert. Yani mi deal kwa hiyo area ya itikadi kali, ugaidi, kupigana na vitu kama hizo.
Yeah.
So my connection na hiyo Dusit attack ilikuwa kwa sababu mimi ndo nilikuwa part ya team yenye walisaidia watu wenye walikuwa wameaffectiwa. So that's on.
Yeah. Karibuni sana.
Hivyo.
Yeah.
Nimesikia akisema hii ndo dream job yake. Sasa mimi naweza sema opposite. Hii ndo ilikuwa dream job yangu.
Oh really? Wow, interesting.
We can exchange care.
Unaweza exchange beze.
I'll be on the ones and twos.
I'm sure really at enjoy. But ni complex.
Ni normal.
Yeah, lazima kuwe na heart of a lion. So we'll start with Rose. Rose, first of all, tell us what you do right now, and pia kama just walk us through your background and until the very day of that attack.
Okay. So I work in HR, in the HR world. So mimi ni watu wa na msinipatie CV zenu please.
Ni wetu na kusikia yako peke yake.
Okay. So even that day I have always been in HR. I used to work at a company that ilikuwa imekaa hapo Dusit, 14 Riverside. So I would say at least 6 of them who died on that actual day, I had hired them into that job. I had managed them as an HR manager for them. So when you hire somebody at work, unataka akuje succeed and home, aweze ku take care of their family. You don't want them to lose their lives. You never even think that kuna mtu atakuja and then at the end of the day they lose their lives, yeah? True. So having to live with that thing of au majamaa hata kama wangekaa tu home your day ama ukose kukuja, you'd probably have survived. But anyway, the thing about working in HR ni kama mzazi kwa ofisi, right? So kazi yangu ilikuwa ku take care of everybody else who survived. We had about 185 staff members hiyo siku. I mean, in that company that day, about 100 of them were in the office. 85 hawakuwa kwa ofisi already. So nikukuja ku deal now the ones who survived, the ones who almost lost their lives, kuwapeleka therapy. Dr. Oscar anajua how important therapy is, na tutaongea kuhusu hiyo, and dealing with the aftermath, because watu wanaonanga tu that day. Your January 15th, yeah? Ama unakumbuka kitu kama 9/11. You know how days don't even mean anything to you. So birthday yako inamaanisha kitu, si ndio? But why would a random date like January 15 mean anything? So now for us who are victims and survivors of that attack, forever January 15th will always mean something to us.
Yeah. So that day, January 15th, ulikuwa kwa ofisi ama ulikuwa home?
Sasa kwa ofisi hiyo day. But the thing about even not being at the office because of WhatsApp, you see it happening almost live before even the securities get on board, because kuna WhatsApp group. Then you hear about wanaambiwa wasi wako kwa ofisi msitoke nje, kuna gunshots. So unaangalia ujaisikia kitu kama hiyo kwa WhatsApp group, unaanga tu mtu anauliza iko wapi ile document, iko wapi ile nini, ama tuna meet wapi, but sasa unaona attack imeanza, then people don't even know what kind of attack it is. So there's a lot of confusion between 3:30 p.m. that day and 4:30 p.m. By the time you even realize it's an actual terrorist attack, watu wanafikiria there's a prime bank branch there. Is it the bank being attacked? Is it the hotel itself? So anyway, what happened with us that day, and I keep saying things work in mysterious ways. As HR, first and foremost, maybe let me give a backstory. That it was the beginning of the year, January 15th, tuko ready kufanya kazi 2019. We are all energized for the year, right? We had to sign off for some trainings, kusema watu ende training outside the hotel, outside the office. So kuna mtu alikuja kuniambia the week before, kuna hii training tunataka kufanya, mtapeleka watu. Nikasema sawa, how many people? Take 50 people. So in that small decision of saying take 50 people to another hotel somewhere wafanye training, we were actually able to save those 50 people, because they would have been in the office. And then the ones that actually came, and then it's the beginning of the year, kuna watu wako leave. When you went to office, so that day we were on 2 floors, 5th floor and 6th floor, I remember, of one of the buildings in the complex. The complex has about 6 buildings. Na yetu ilikuwa uko mwisho karibu na there's a Nairobi river, and then you cross the river, you go into the ICA Wayakiwe side. So because it's around the Chiromo area. So watu wakisikia nini, typical Kenyans, the first thing people do is jump to the windows.
Reaction.
Watu wakasema nini hiyo? Watu wakakimbia kwa windows, and we were like, guys, tokeni kwa madirisha. So start running. And we've trained people, when you hear things like this, you go to the fire exits. So watu wakakimbia kwa fire exits, usitumie lift kwanza. Wakashuka. A lot of people actually got out. Because like I said, we had at least 100 people, but a lot of them actually got out. About 20 people didn't manage to get out, but they didn't die, all of them, and I'll tell you why.
At that point, attackers walikuwa wameshaingia kwa hiyo block.
Attackers walikuwa sawa there was already somebody who the suicide bomber had already blown himself up in the middle of the complex. There was already a bomb at the gate, and now all you could hear was gunfire. A lot of gunfire. And gunfire, if you have had gunfire anyway, it's very definite. It's very loud.
Scary,
Scary. So watu wanakimbia, wanashuka kwa fire exit, upande hii na upande hii. Alafu watu 20 ndio walibaki kwa ofisi. Au 20 wakajigawanya. So mna discuss twende wapi, tushuke them kwa 5th floor. Tushuke kwa stairs ama watatupatana na wao wakipanda. So watu 10 wakaingia kwa, about 11 people went into a bathroom kujificha. About another, I think 6 people went on the other side kushuka kwa stairs. And it happens with and Dr. Oscar will say, in a terror attack, in any scary place, you either fight or you run, right? Fight or flight. So kuna watu wali decide ku run, au wenye wameenda kwa stairs, kuna wengine walijificha, right? So hawa kujificha, the terrorists actually found them in the washroom, but what the terrorists didn't know is that there were actually people, there were male and female washrooms, ndio. But vijana wawili wakaingia kwa gents, then everybody else went to the ladies. Au wenye waliingia kwa gents, the terrorists opened the door, and then they pulled one guy out. They saw one guy, they didn't see the other guy. They pulled one guy out, they killed him. Apo. So now everybody else who's in the washrooms has
the guy who was killed, was he working in your organization?
Yes, this is our organization I'm talking about.
Okay, that's wow,
yes. And then the other ones in the other washroom, umejificha nyi wote kwa choo, mmefinyana, ukisonga hii side choo hata ina flash. Unashanga, alafu watu wanapigia simu,
so ina create
simu zenu zinalia. It was just a lot of and then everything just happened at the same time. You're like, surely.
So let me ask you, you as a member of the HR team, unachuki watu wako wameshikana kwa your mess, that very chaotic situation. What's going on through your mind?
You're like, you just want to get them out of there. You just want to save them, and you tell people, don't call them. Don't just.
Walikuwa wanatuma messages.
Wanatuma messages kwa nini? Because wanauliza mko wapi, tutatokaje? Tusaidieni. Someone is telling you tusaidieni, tutoke. Wenye wanauliza wenye wametoka, mmepitia wapi ndio tufuate hiyo njia. Then the other ones who I think the terrorists got distracted, so hawakuingia hicho ingine. So wakasave almost 10 people in that other one. Hawakupatikana. One of the guys even climbed to the ceiling. And then I think akasikia kelele, but ile kelele alisikia ilikuwa ya wale wenye walikimbia. So nasikia kwa stairs boots zikishuka. Au nao wamekimbia chini, wanashuka kwa fire exit staircase, wakajificha pale chini ya staircase penye ukifika mwisho. Then thinking that was the safest place. Sindio? So unasema umejificha uko sawa. But kumbe this guy has had you shukaing. So anawafuata, mnasikia he has heavy boots. Anakuja na gani yake kinini kwa staircase, kwa railing.
So unasikia hiyo sauti ya gun pia.
Anakuja. So he knows. Unajua kuna wase, yeah, and this is what he came for. Sindio?
Of course.
So anafika chini ya stairs anasema, mnatujua nyinyi ama mnatusikianga tu.
Allah.
Then I think
walishaji identify as Al-Shabaab.
Kasema nyinyi mnatujua mnatusikianga tu. And then I think wako sawa, kajaribu kumwambia usituue. And the reason I know this story, I'll tell you why, because there were 6 people hapo chini ya staircase. The guy just opened gunfire. Kaanza tu kushoot. Akashoot watu. Unashoot unaanguka. Out of the 6, at the very back of that group was one girl. And that one girl didn't even get a single bullet. So all these other guys, so 5 guys, 1 girl.
In the midst of the gunfire?
In the midst of the gunfire. Like, this is when you hear God works in mysterious ways. Those other guys took bullets for her. So when that girl now actually, and it's a story she shares a lot because it's traumatic, yeah. So we were them, ndio alituambia what actually happened. And then of course we realized with the cops, tunajua kuna watu walikuwa wameshuka hivi, alafu naangalia watu waliacha kuongea saa ngapi. At 4:10 after the thing started, hatukuwasikia tena, hatukujua wameenda wapi. So no communication. Kasema wasi wamenyamaza sana.
So what was your first instinct as HR?
First instinct is just to make sure
to do
head count. Obviously, we want to know where everybody else. I know who's on leave. I know who was at a training. I know who was in the office. So this is happening. Everybody else is being told, gather at ICU on the other side of the river. Let's do a head count. Let's see. So napewa majina, nasema okay, green. Then I realize out of my list of 185 people, 6 people are missing. I can't account for these 6 people. Wewe moja nimesikia, nimeambiwa pale juu kwa bathroom what has happened, yeah. Wengine 5 tukajua okay, these other 5 basi ni hawa wenye wako hapa, and then wakapatikana hapo.
Unajua ukitrainiwa for your work as somebody for HR or expecting
you are never trained for these things.
What was going on through your mind? Unasema okay, now what do I do? As in how were your emotions? Were you with your family members at that point? Mali ulikuwa?
No, I was actually at a work meeting, but outside that office, yeah. I think even the next day was the hardest part for me, because the next day the families now came. The family members hawajui watu hao wako wapi. I know where they are because I have first-hand information. Tuko na wao wote pamoja. Now we've all shown up at ground zero at Chiromo. So wanauliza, and they're coming with so much hope. Ata tu alipata bullet but hajakufa, you know. But the truth in reality is I know. But I cannot tell them. So that was the hardest day for me, because I cannot tell them that I know. Only the Kenya police can tell them, or only Red Cross can tell them. So until everything is verified, we sit in hope, we pray, tunakana the whole day, tungoje tu. And then watching them go, the families now, the 6 families, watching them go through, and I keep saying 6 because 6 walikuwa wa kampuni yetu, but actually 21 people died. If you look at online, you'll see people called Brave 6. Those are the guys that I worked with. So these 6 families, watching them go through identifying their bodies, and these bodies have been torn apart by bullets and grenades and everything. It was a very intense moment. Having to force mandatory counseling for all our staff. Again, very intense. What would you in a counseling? Nakwambia when the counseling and it's because you survived the attack. You were almost shot at. You probably even fell and broke your leg. But nakwambia lazima uamke when the counseling. Ni kitu hujaifanya, and it's really for men. They're like unaniambia nini? But even in the aftermath that followed. Suicidal thoughts. People want to kill themselves. Depression.
Let me ask you, how has it affected you moving forward, professionally and personally, and socially as well? and then, of course, Dr. Oscar. I'm going to play one more song, and then I'll talk about now. I'll ask you just about the process of the healing process for some of these victims.
Great,
But Rose, as we wrap up this this specific segment, how imekuchangeaje, imekuaffectaje socially, professionally, emotionally? Has it made you different?
Very. You cannot go through that kind of an event and not come out different. So, and I keep saying, ask myself, where was I in the midst of this storm? So personally in my life, I've gone through a lot of grief. Yeah. I've lost past people close to me, my dad, my mom, my bro, and that's a whole other different conversation.
Yeah.
But I think that loss in my personal space prepared me to be present in this event. Niliweza kukuja kusaidia watu on this particular day, and even kuwashika mkono months, days later, weeks later, months later, to the extent that even today, when I told you I have a podcast, the podcast is called Grief Angels Podcast.
It's a Grief Angels.
Grief Angels. Because there's a lot of grief that we all go through grief, right? And even those guys who are victims of that attack, grief and the emotions that come with it, anger first and foremost. You are angry at the government. You are angry at God. You are angry at the terrorists. Yeah, those are things that push you to even now also start thinking for yourself, how will I revenge?
Let me ask you, did you get help from the loss of, I'll take you way back.
Yeah.
Your parents, your family?
Of course, therapy. My gosh.
Therapy,
Why not for therapy? Would I even be here today? And I'm a big advocate of therapy.
Yeah.
And that's the agenda we push on Grief Angels. Just to say, guys, do not run away from therapy.
Yeah.
Express your grief. And express your grief in good ways. Do not go into alcoholism. Go into hiking. Go into writing. Go into...
True. Well, the reason I was asking is because there are many people, you're right.
Yeah.
I'll pity under grief, you know, some sort of tragedy in their own lives.
Yeah.
Some my family members, colleagues, friends, but they bottle that in. They find other ways of expressing the pain. And so, did you still have to get more help after he attack Dusit?
We did.
Yeah.
For myself.
For yourself?
For myself, yes. Even I had to go through a lot of therapy because I'm carrying the weight of our stuff when they almost survived. Not just stuff anasema aki ningekuwa mimi, aki ningekuwa hapo, aki almost died. And then you're asking yourself, kwa nini mimi nili survive na unaniali my friend mwenye mlikuwa mnakaa naye alafu make it. No, you feel a lot of guilt. Then even for me now dealing with the families. So even myself, I'd hear stories, I can see families being torn apart because there were stories where kuna kijana he had someone, the family doesn't know this someone. So there's a lot of family dynamics.
Can you imagine?
So even I had to go for a lot of therapy to be able to stand here today.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So let's get back into the music. That was really powerful.
Thank you.
And then now, Dr. Oscar.
Yes.
Now we'll just talk about vile inakuanga ukiwork na victims, you know, people who are going through all this grief.
True.
And also, you said you were there that very day as part of the response team.
Yes, exactly.
So utatuchapia vile ili go down. Right now, though, it's 8:36, guys. This is hashtag Morning Vibes. I've got some Gramps Morgan, people like you. To the cast.
This is the Morning Vibes on Vibes Radio.
People like you, 104.5 Vibes Radio. 20 minutes until 9 to go up in the story of a day in my life. We're bouncing off the Dusit attack anniversary ilikuwa on the 15th actually of this month. It happened on 2019, sorry about that, where 21 people lost their lives. Kenyans. Some of them are our brothers, our sisters. Na hii story manze ilishangaza sana watu. And let me tell you, terror attacks in this country has just become one of those things where you never know. Inaweza kuhappen. Na nasikia mob sana zimehappen. Dr. Oscar will tell us exactly the situation on the ground because some of you think hii vitu ati imeisha, Westgate ilikuwa mwisho, ama Dusit ilikuwa mwisho. Nope. The reality is that well, things do happen. So Dr. Oscar.
Yes, sir.
Let's go back to that day.
Yeah.
2019 January the 15th.
Correct.
Mepigiwa simu, you're part of the response team. Really happened. What was going on through your mind?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us, and Rose, thank you so much for your account. Vile ulipitia, hiyo si kitu rahisi kuambia watu.
Yeah.
But I always like telling Rose that by her sharing her story, she's really empowering a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because sharing your grief, sharing your experience, inafungua macho za watu wengi sana.
Manze.
For us, siwezi kukudanganya, hiyo siku ilikuwa ngumu because in the space that I work in, we try to prevent that from happening. So the moment you hear it happening, the first thing you do is say, no, not again.
No, yeah.
But then, in the middle of it, because you have to be the people with the answers,
of course,
amwezi freeze.
Wow.
Amwezi kuwa kama kila mtu mwingine.
Unafaa kuwa well prepared.
Mnajua, these people, you know how they think. For me, that's my specialization. My job is to enter into the minds of terrorists, so I know how they think. Wow. I know what they're there to do, and then they're there to. Unlike other people who, like thugs, for example, if you have a bank robber, mtu mwenye ameta kumanga bank, umse anataka kudedi, anataka kuiba alafu hepe.
Okay.
Unaona? Anataka ndio akaenjoy hizo do. A terrorist Their goal is to die.
Ako prepared kudedi. Yashajua nenda kudedi.
So when you have that, those are two very different people. They are willing to give everything. They're willing to lose it all. And unfortunately, by the time amefika hiyo place, si mtu unaweza ongelesha. That's why I really want to really acknowledge all our men and women in uniform and all the people who work in this space for counterterrorism. The work they do is really, 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 really intense. And I'll also give you an analogy ndio tufike kwa hiyo siku. Na nitafika kwa hiyo story utabonga.
So.
But unfortunately, for the longest time tumekuwa tukibehave ka goalkeepers. Ataki nakuja, mnaruka hivi. Ataki nakuja, mnaruka hivi. But over the last about maybe 5 years, of course all our partners in the government as well has been proactive in making sure that they don't happen. So it's not just about countering violent extremism or countering terrorism, it's also about preventing it. Kwa hivyo kungia kwa mitaa. So for example, Kevin, like what you're doing right now, kwa hii show, una reach watu wenye maybe wako kwa point wanaongeleshwa na msee. Anaanza kuwadanganya, kuambia wenye wataingia kwa hii group. Usika sawa vijana wenye walifanya hiyo kitu walikuwa wa Kenya.
Okay.
Don't forget it. At the end of the day, they did what they did. They did what they did to Rose's friends and colleagues. And but then they were Kenyans. So my problem and my heart normally breaks to say, what is this virus? Ambayo inaingia msee alikuwa tu kwa mtatu.
Watu kijana normal tu.
Look at the story of a guy like Ali Gishunge who led that attack. He's a guy who should never have been radicalized, in our view. I mean, it really breaks my heart. And I think when I speak about it, I speak nikiona na uzito sana kwa heart yangu. Kuzo alikuwa msee mpoa, msee alikuwa anapenda kuvaa Teams. Favorite artist wake alikuwa Vibes Cartel. Msee anaizaje turn kutoka msee ako hivyo, alafu aende hivyo. So I want to just tell Kenyans, even as we are doing this and we're talking about the other end, let's remember another group of victims or survivors. Family yake. Ilibadilisha family yake kabisa.
Let me ask you something, Daktari. Why is it so easy? Mbona inakuanga rahisi kusue mavijana wengi hizi matera groups?
Si rahisi by the way. But ni kwa sababu kuna kuanga na ingredients zenye ziko ready. Very ready and fertile ground. For example, watu udhania terrorist ni age zetu. Hapana. No, unless a mastermind or somebody like that. Lakini ule vijana mwenye atenda kustrap up na bebe mto na ende hivi kwa nini? Hapana. Those are teenagers. You radicalize as a teenager. What happens in your teenage years? Unakuanga uncertain, identity yako iko all over the place, peer pressure, vitu mobs ka hizo. So ukitaka kuform identity, home maybe mko na noma, shule ushikanishi vitu, kwa mtaa vitu tu ziko against you, hauko kwa sport yoyote. Ko jobless. Na usikasahau kitu, our two are radicalizing the worst guys. They radicalize the best guys.
Really?
So one of the things naambianga wazazi siku hizi na watu hii, question things. You want critical thinkers as young people in this country. Kwa hivyo si ule mtu unatuma alafu anafanya whatever you want them to do. Because what happened to the terrorists is they come and tell you anything and you accept. And you say, yeah, let's do this, let's go.
Awambia na vitu kagani? Awambia mavijana vitu kagani?
By the way, hata waambiangi kitu noma, ni kuwapenda tu.
Ala?
Brother, ni kuwapenda.
Anakuonesha attention, anakuambia vile wewe ni msema.
Showing you love, showing you attention, ubrother, usweba. Think about all those guys when wanakuanga ma outcast kwa mtaa. There's nothing they don't use anything sinister. As a matter of fact, they use friendship and love. So me and the guys I work with, that's what we do now with young people.
Same strategy.
Tuna radicalized for good.
Yeah. Through love.
Sasa tulilearn tactics zao tukasema sawa tumewapata, tumeona, we're on the ground now. So what the government has been doing is using the same strategies. Sasa tuko kwa mitaa zote Kenya. Tunabonga na vijana wenye wanafeel wako lost, watu wana use my drugs, wanafanya nini, so we involve them and make them do positive things.
How is the process going on sahi? Muna make progress?
To make progress kubwa sana, and I can say that unajua ni hatuna mabao zimefungwa recently. And to us that's success. The success also looks like we also have more people, watu wenye wako sasa more questioning. Msezi tokezea from nowhere alafu anza kuambia stories za kwenda sijui mvuke buda mkafanya nini. Unamwangalia,
unadhani Wakenya wamekuwa rada sahi?
Amekuwa rada. Unamwambia fanya hivi bro, we cross kwanza alafu tupatane baadaye.
Utanishow.
Utanishow. So tunaambia wase wako wajanja. Because that's where it starts from. But going back to the issue of that day, we were so sad. don't forget some of us had been involved all the way kutoka Westgate 2013 tuka involve ile LAD pia kurespond kwa families za military, tuka involve Garissa University College attack, tuka involve zote zenye zimehappen ya Kenya. So I've always been in the darkest part of Kenyan's pain, and ilikuwa inatuambia, and you know the worst part ni for somebody like me who works in that space, mkisikia hiyo call, you know how it's going to play out.
Unajua tu kina kitu ina happen,
you know how it's going to play out. Unajua kuna watu maybe wata lose life zao, property, unajua wale security officers, mimi nakumbuka majamaa wakienda wana deployiwa, these are young guys also.
Let me ask you, daktari, ukisikia vile Rosa alikuwa anabonga her story, what was going on through your mind?
Man, I'm just in my head. Of course, part of me gets angry. Because I get angry because nobody's life should ever have to be interrupted like that by somebody else. And don't forget, msea kufanya hivyo ndio ibe computers ziko kwa office. Anafanya hivyo ndio ukufe. Because ataki lifestyle yako, wewe kwake ni kafiri, wewe ni kufar, anataka tu ukufe kwa sababu it's because of you maisha yake iendi venye anataka iende.
That's what they
that's interesting. That's interesting.
So you're an enemy even without knowing, and you're an annoying enemy. Wewe umekuwa tu live life yako tu poa,
chill tu.
But jamaa anakuona akikuona. In fact ulisikia venye Rosa alisema, msati alikuwa akisema ni utusikia tu mtujui.
Let me show you.
So unaona sasa you're taunting. Why would you taunt somebody who has nothing to do with you?
Let me ask you, Dr. When it comes to working with these victims and survivors, do they heal completely?
So here's the thing. Let me. I want to paint the picture, and I'm going to use 14 Riverside as an example. Wale watu walikuwa kwa scene hiyo siku, and I'm happy that we're in the media right now because we also have to be careful how we use the media even at that time. Kukiwa na breaking news, lazima tuko careful when break, because it's important to say there's something happening, there's a terror attack happening, but it's not important to show the images, because those images will traumatize people who had no business being traumatized. Okay, so do people get better? As human beings, tumeumbwa in a very unique way. You're not created to see traumatic material. Definitely not other human beings dying. Nobody's trained to do that. At security officers, they're not trained to do that.
They're human.
Yeah, they're human as well. So behind the badges and behind the uniform. So what happens is, just on principle, if 100 people are exposed to a traumatic event, watu 85 watakuwa sawa within about a month, like 4 weeks to 6 weeks. Of course, hiyo siku ya kwanza utalala poa. The first week utakuwa poa. Wasewa, watu wata change drastically for about a month. So I normally tell people, mpatie mtu time. Your time ya 4 to 6 weeks atakuwa okay. Mpatie time off if you're in a position of helping. Mpatie time ya kumsupport. Lakini kuna watu 15 who even after those days will have a difficulty. So what we do in our responses, we make sure we do what is called ni kama kutrash, kufeel out wase, wako aje, where are you, how are you doing, and giving them coping skills, kuambia vitu zenye Karuza anasema. Because I remember even after that attack, kuna watu wenye tulikuwa tumepata kwa house zao, msea ako na mamizinga, amefunga tu curtain zote, ako na mizinga, anakunywa one after the other, hakuna kuoga, hakuna nini. Ukimwongelesha anasema mazeni imesurvive. Mazen iliona kifo. So that's somebody who's traumatized. So you don't tell them, we ni aje bana, acha kunywa hivi unajua itaharibu liver zako. Nobody cares. Trauma supersedes everything. So anyway, so after hizo 15 watu wenye ni 15, what will happen is, if they are not intervened with, they will develop very serious complications. As a matter of fact, I want to say this, and I want to say it boldly on your station, bro, that a lot of the headlines we are seeing in our papers today, man kills family, who shoots whoever.
Kuna sama nini really?
Hiyo ndio kitu tunaongelelea.
Kenyans are traumatized. Even before we go to 14 Riverside to talk about terror attacks, we're traumatized. So because of that, when that happens, we are not equipped enough to handle. So I say we wanna recover. But what happens is you have to take them through very deliberate processes that intervene now, trauma therapy. There's a way you have to talk with them. We start with psychological first aid for the majority of people. Ni kama tu first aid ingine. Una feel poor au feel poor hivyo. Then you do check-ins over time.
Wacha nikuulize kitu doc. Does self-healing work? Ukicheki msana nakwambia, mimi nime find a way of handling it. Mimi niko sawa doc. Wewe achana mimi niko poa. Unaweza mwambia nini akikwambia kitu kama hiyo?
Naweza mwambia it's well and good. It's also like training. if you're working out. You can work out on your own. True. And you can get all the health benefits.
Actually, you're right.
But the truth about falling off the bandwagon is much higher on your own than if you're in a group of people or if you're getting professional help.
Good.
That's what I like to tell people. Our minds are like our hearts, our bodies. That we all often forget our minds, that our minds are also very fragile. You are not a human being. In fact, WHO wanasemanga, there's no health without mental health. Kumaanisha that unaweza kuwa poa, umeenda blood work, uko kila kitu kwa sawa, but kama your mind is not there, it's useless. At the end of the day, you'll be tortured. You're healthy tortured, you know?
But you look ripped.
You're ripped. In fact, you're good, Nini. There's nothing you can't have. When I look at you from the outside, grab everything. But you're the only one who knows what darkness you're in. So what I normally say is that without the support, I'm sure we're resilient as human beings. Nasi watu wako na counselors. But utapata unaweza recover. But the reality is you need psychological help.
Mna involving families ama victims and survivors in the healing process.
To know involve. And what I want to say, Kev, for the country right now and for young people who are classification of victims in Wagani. Now, in psychology, I'll be killed by all the students I've ever taught all of my life by calling anybody a victim.
Okay.
Because victims normally take power from them.
Okay.
A survivor ni mtu mwenye anaweza kujifanyia kitu. Anaweza toka kwa hiyo kitu. And when you survive, unaweza kufanya kitu. You can actually claw out of it on your own. So there are 4 types. The first person is Akina Rose and Rose's people who are in the office on that day. The people who are there at the scene. Those are the first group of survivors. Second group are the first responders. Let me tell you, when that GSU officer is going there, and a shout out to all the officers, C Company, all the guys who went, awatu, wakiwa kwa scene, they are also going to get traumatized.
I'm sure.
Don't forget that Kenyans pia walikuwa wanacheza flat. Mko social media mnasema chiki vile ati wana behave ati wakibishwa ati vile. That does not help. Al-Shabaab will use Al-Kataib, who are their media arm, and they will stream live what is happening using your platforms. So we have to be careful. Hii story ndio tuko youth, ndio tuko social media, but kitu ya security ki happen mazao say tupunguzeni. Wacheni watu wa stima wafanye kazi ya stima. That's what I tell people. Security, just let it be like that. Security personnel, they really get affected. And guess what? They also put their lives on the line. Mtu ametoka kwa base alikuwa poa, sana enda in a place where he has a chance of dying. Third people is the country and the community. We are violated as a country. We are violated as a community. Unajiuliza mbona saa watu wamekam kutuharibia. Hata kwa news, unaona tu hivyo the whole country inakuwa na sadness. We all are grieving, we are wondering. But the last part also, your families are watu wenye wameperform hiyo kitu. Because the families have no idea umse wao wana radicaliziwa. Hawana. In fact, if you meet like Ali's family,
kwa TV,
you'll be shocked. By the way, waliona kwa TV. In fact, if you follow those interviews, utaona the first place kama Ali na sisters zake waliona kwa TV. And in fact, they didn't know it was him until one even alikuwa na limp. Wakasema, oh my God,
that's him.
I know that guy. So you can imagine the trauma. Isitoshe unabambwa, unafungwa. Unajua. So working with them, these are the 4 classes of people we work with. And of course, depending on the security clearance, you'll be accessing different ones. So of course, like with psychologists and counselors we work with, the ones who are not in security, we'll work with the survivors who are like the people who are there and all that stuff. The full security clearance, we'll work with security people. The rest of the country will have people in the media and all that stuff. Then the families, very specific. NCTC handles that. So that's so everybody has their part, which we play.
Serikali, do they help with the therapy, healing processes? Do they have a role to play?
Ever since 2013, when we were responding to Westgate, the government at that point, I don't think what role they can play. But I think we have grown together and we've really learned that government, part of the way we tell terrorists that we will not bow to them is by healing our people, by helping to support our people. So what has happened is Red Cross is an auxiliary arm of government who helped, especially 2013 and such. But when it came to 14 Riverside, NCTC came out strongly and we were actually able to work with Kenyans directly. And the National Counterterrorism Center is really key. That's a focal point for counterterrorism in the country and coordination of all matters counterterrorism in the country. But then you imagine that now we have what is called the psychosocial pillar in the national strategy for countering violent extremism. Kwa hivyo kwa hii pillar ya psychosocial ni kusaidia wase na kuwa na hiyo therapy, watu wakiaffectiwa mnafanya hivyo nao, mnafanya kazi nao, mna ring fence yani.
Also reach out ama it's the government, these agencies that reach out.
So after the attack, there's 2 ways of doing it. After the attack, definitely lazima gava reach out because there's no way you can expect people.
And that's how I met you.
Exactly.
Because the government sent you to us.
Exactly. That's actually how we met with Rose. Because we actually came and we said, we know these guys are there. We've been sent. We introduced ourselves. of course it was not easy. As Rose was saying, of course
and I was busy looking for my own councillors.
Yes.
Yeah, because even I have to look for my own. Lakini the government NCTC says apana, we know this is required.
Yes.
Wacha tutume watu.
And watu wengi udhaningigavai kwangi yashughulikani.
Of course. And the reality is because if you think about the space, it's a very, I don't want to say secretive, it's very high security. So you can't really tell who's doing what where. I understand that, but there's a lot, and I want to tell Kenyans now, na vijana kwa mtaa. In fact, if you go to counterterrorism.go.ke, you'll find a number which you can call if you need support. And the reality is that gava imeanza kujipanga siku hizi. Tuko na counselors, tuko na therapists wenye wanaweza saidia mtu. In fact, in as far as Kev, ukiona boy wako ameanza kuchange, alafu aanze kuchange, aanze kukuambia vitu zenye zi make sense. Alafu unaona umsema zama ni kana believe. Akisikia 14 Riverside imehappen anasema wazi. Umse kuna venye unaweza piga hiyo namba tukamtubonga naye.
But then is it possible ni rahisi ni possible kufanya umse a change? For example, sasa Karaila nimeanza kunotice amekuwa radicalized. Is it possible to bring him back a valuable member of society?
Yes. No, that's a work we
do. You have success stories?
Absolutely.
Okay,
we're working with a lot of Kenyans who had gotten the virus at the beginning, but now we're turning it around.
But I think that's what people don't see. I was going to ask you, Dr. Oscar, and now I'm interviewing him now.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Watu tunaonanga hiyo radicalization, but hatuoni wenye wame deradicalize na wamerudi kwa society, wameanza kukua like, I guess maybe because watakuwa wameshashikwa wamepelekwa jela.
But okay, there's two things, Rosa, we have to think about. Kumbuka kama umse, for example, alikuwa amesha cross akaenda Somo. Akafanya vile alifanya na akarudi. Akona watu wawili wanamtafuta.
For sure.
Gava na wasi. So kuna venye anaweza simama kwa platform
aseme mimi nilikuwa.
Kwa kitoka kwa interview ni yeye anaenda peke yake. True. But the ones we can talk about are the ones who have been probably on their way. Wasi wenye kwa mtano wanajaribu kuradi. Wajaifanya anything. So hizo publicity, and you're right, Rose. I think what we're doing now is to become more public, and there's a lot of what we call county engagement forums. Na kuna venye ma youth wana involve you around the country. Sai kubonga story ya terrorism. Na venye wanaweza kuwa positive. So it's true. Imekuwa low level, but ita increase, I guess.
So Dr. I want you to just hold that thought. Tutarudi na my last words. To skim maneno ya news courtesy of our brother Dennis Aseto. Alafu guys, phone line space takuwa open. Tutawapatia 5 minutes in the next hour kabla Riley cheze kama yeye. My name is Kev Mataro, Tada the Beast.
Sounds of Riley.
#morning vibes right now. Satatu kamili. Good morning Nairobi, Kenya. Tuende kazi.
This is the Modern Vibes on Vibes Radio.
10 minutes after 9, I hope you like Hawaiiani, the reggae cover.
Hayawani.
#morning vibes with sounds of Riley.
Kev Matara.
And of course, tunamalizana na hii conversation. We're bouncing off the Dusit attack anniversary really happened on the 15th of January 2019. Chikiwa sema zemu na react up on social media. I'm going to be reading those comments before we get out of here. Lakini phone lines right now ziko open. Kwa kuna swali for our special guests. Unaweza tupigia simu right now, guys. It's 0719012700. Vibes Radio, good morning.
Oya Kev Matara.
Niaje brother, inaongea na nani?
Bazenga wa
Jam down. Wazi Bazenga, kuna swali gani unadai kuuliza our guests?
Bana nakwambia ngava bana nasikianga ikinijenga kaina jenga ngawase wengine hivyo. Basi ziko fiti, mimi nasikia hapo bana hadi nimejua vitu vingine hadi ziko najua. Mimi namwambia tu ni fiti nimetii.
Umelan vitu kama gani Bazenga?
Kwa ameongea mambo mingi. Ana.
Okay.
Yaani hapo nikasikia tu nimebambika tu.
Wazi Joe Bazenga. Wewe endelea na biz, endelea kuchapa hiyo mboka. Tuongee na Bama tuende Udhaya. Vibes Radio, good morning bro.
Niaje Kevo sasa na wageni.
Fiti za tuko poa sana hapa hivi.
Sasa hii mambo ya Dusit. Mimi kuna kitu naweza sema. Kwanza ni pole.
Manze.
Halafu mi kulingana na mimi wasee wote wamedai kwa hizi vitu za terrorist. Mi kulingana na mimi ni kama mata ya. Unaona Kevo venye uko secure, unaweza tembea, hakuna place wezi na tao. Na unafeel ukiwa secure. Hizo lives tulipoteza hapo mbeleni. Security imebifiwa.
Manze.
Tume step up. Hatuko country kaa Somalia, si unaona? Yes, ni uchungu. Na jana niliona kuna shababu wengine sijui uliona kwa Twitter.
Nimecheki.
Uliona? Vitu kama hizo ni hunijazi, unaona? Juu tunasema tuondoe hao watu kwa society, unaona? Na niambia vijana hata ikiwa hakuna job na hakuna nini, mtu asikudanganya ati kuwa terrorist, kuangamiza Wakenya wenzako ndio utapata pesa. Kwanza ndio unajiweka kwa kifungo yenye hutawahi toka, na mara ya mwisho utakufa.
Manze.
So hao watu walikufa ni kama martyrs. Na mimi nasema tu tuombe mpaka security wenye wako boda, wenye wanalala nje, anti-terror, tuwaombe.
Bama, niacha nikuulize huko Dhaya, mavijana unadhani wako fiti ama hiyo story ya kukua radicalized? Unadhani ni possible luko ama wanaanza kujifundisha hizi vitu wako rada siku hizi wanaona?
Mbali hapa Majengo Nyeri ilikuwa one of the sport areas na ambayo serikali ilikuwa kwa hiyo mosque ya nini. Lakini unajua gava ili step up na hizo cells zilipunguzwa, hata ikiwa ziko sidhani mingi kama hapo zamani.
Okay, asante sana bro. Big up yourself. Unaweza tupiga simu by the way on 0719012700. You can react to some of the stories umesikia hapa hivi, kama kuna swali ya Dr. Oscar ama you want to also ask our sister here Rose. Tuongee na Ras Mangeo kutoka Mwega. Vibes Radio, good morning Ras.
Uza.
Niaje brother?
Ngotela ile hapo ako inadikua nkwe.
Hakuna diplie.
Manze niko ndani manze, na leo unachiki manze, tuko na magesta hapa hivi. Respect manze. I hope umepata kitu moja mbili kutoka kwa Doka hapa hivi, na pia guest wetu hapo
amebounce. Tunge na Abu. Vibes Radio, good morning bro.
Vipi
kufiti sana loko wapi Meru ama?
Meru manze.
Kuna swali, kuna comment?
Anadai kusema najua nini nafanya babu ndio kwa.
Ati umesema?
Nasema no make to be the crime.
Sija kupata.
Rudia tena bro.
Aya cheki nasema najua nini na drive na kufanya.
Umesema unajua nini na drive wase kuingia crime?
Ni
poverty.
Unajua najenga Kenya is about the youth man.
Exactly. So umesema poverty ndio inafanya vijana wanakuwa easily radicalized.
Yeah man.
Bless up. Asante sana. Thank you so much for your call. Vibes Radio, good morning. Hello. Yo wagwan, Vibes Radio, good morning. Ukitupigia unaweza changamka, unaongea na energy kiasi. Newton, tuende Nyeri.
Na call from Nyeri manze, nilikuwa nataka kuchangia.
Please do my brother. Unaweza semaje? Kuna comment ama question?
Sina question manze, but radicalization happen sana campuses. Wanaweza try two ways za ku-reach ma student wa campus juu. Kuna project tulikuwa tunafanya na kampuni fulani ya UK, Rusi, inaitwa Rusi. Na ilikuwa inapata most of the persons wenye kwa radicalized ni campus students, university students. So wana try to ways za ku reach out.
Na hiyo process inaendeleaje sasa hivi?
Ili turn out fit, tulimaliza ilimalizika October. Na ilikuwa na outcome fit, wase walikuwa shalan radicalization vile inafanyika. Ways to keep wase busy. And at the end of the day tunawaambia nothing good comes of violence.
Absolutely my brother, big up yourself. Thanks so much Newton. You stay safe and have a good day today my brother.
You too man.
Alright, so I think that's about it. Acha nishike moja. Just one more. Vibes Radio, good morning. Hello. Fiti sana bro. Unaongea na nani?
Eriko hapo, nimevutana like na yeye hata Eriko mtu hapa.
Iza. Eriko, so uko na comment hapa hivi for our special guest. Riley.
Wageni wamegoteka sana.
Riley fiti. Sasa ni hadi kimefanya nigurumishe simu na mapema hivi. Ni kitu nimeobserve. Unaona vile sasa tunaishi mse. si kama vile tuligrow. Mavijana sasa hiyo wamekuwa exposed into western culture, hiyo life ya nje. Kuna mtu huyo ako 18 14 vile anakaa anajifeel ni gang already, unaona?
Ameanza kujoin the gang life hizo
so akishapata rosa link ya anaweza join na wajinga na hata anajua na promise huge return. Anaona hii ndio way out tatakia so kama vile vitu tunangangana. Alafu pia au jamaa day in day out ni vile hata hizi information kama hazitufikii. Unajua kama Al-Shabaab up to date bado wana attack. Na watu wana dead. Mimi kwanza mimi niko on move. Malindi, Lamu sana. So hii area yuko bado ni prone.
Hivyo umesema hizo sides za coast wase wengi bado kwa radicalized,
Mbaya sana. Ndio nauliza hadi hao wageni. Kando na kuongea na victims kwa after wamesafa. Hakuna njia nyingine yoyote inaweza tumika au jamaa kwa kambi. Juu hii area hadi saa hizi kama mimi kuna area nimechorea kwenda Garissa. Juu nimeona ni risk kwangu, unaona? Hakuna vile colleague ameenda tumempoteza in the same line of duty at in transportation, alafu mimi niamke kesho ni gurume bro ni gurumishe kilori naenda huko pia. Na hiyo ni stuff imehappen hata ijamaliza a week. I think ilikuwa last week ndo tulipoteza wote. Hapa ile ni tetu on your way to Hola hapo ukienda Garissa. Ama jamaa wako live bado up to date.
Sasa jo big up, asante sana, pole man.
Watu wengi wanadhani Al-Shabaab ni Dusit na Westgate, lakini hii kitu bado bro ina happen huku chini bado. Wako live mbaya sana kwanza.
Safi. Doka kwa hapa amesikia jo. Atafikisha report.
Doka ndio watu wanafaa wakalishe gava chini waipatie way out. Gava ikiachiliwe reason on their own, naona ni kama hata imaliza shughuli.
Hapo
kweli. Wanafaa kwa collaborative. Asante sana bro. Nachiki makos ni kibao, but because of time hatuwezi shika zote. Doc, if you can just summarize hizo maswali zote, usome hizo comments nini, what can you say? Alafu Rose, we'll start with our final words. Maybe if you can say a thing or two.
Okay. Thanks. First of all, we'll call our last. I'm really sorry for the loss of your friend. Na vile mse kwa mboka. You know, at the end of the day, we don't want anything to happen to any Kenyan, and it really saddens me, like when I hear somebody, a young person, vibrant, mtu akona future mbele yake amedai. But nataka kumwashua that it's true, and maybe it might not seem like it kwa sababu you lost somebody, but every day there's men and women in uniform and others not in uniform fighting to make sure that Kenyans can sleep at night. And part of it is we need to know where these people are. So in fact, the one thing I can say, everybody has a part to play. Kila msee akona part ya kuplay. Kani kwa hao ukinotice muri wako anaanza kuchange, bongesha msee. Ile namba niliwaambia mcall, counterterrorism.go.ke, tafuta hapo, mnaweza call if you see something, say something.
Exactly, counterterrorism.go.ke.
Yes, exactly. Number 2, kwa family, kawe ni mother mtu, kawe ni msee, kawe ni brother yako, una notice mtu ameanza kuchange, anza tu, kuna venye unaweza bonga, talk to the security agencies. Ama msee akiwaambia ameenda mboka in a place that's unexplained, na hata apigi simu afanye nini, talk about it before it comes to become something big. It's better tujue kule yako than not knowing where he is, then he comes back a transformed person. Your virus ikingia kwa kichwa, huwezi recognize huo msee. Huo msee anakuanga the same person in body but not in mind. But also I want to tell Kenyans that, look, since we started being attacked very many years ago, 1975 by the way, and you're right, it's not about Dusit, neither is it about Westgate, it's about the way of life as Kenyans. We've been really trying to see how can we stop all of these things from happening. Ni shida iko dunia mzima, but Kenya ime step up, and I can tell you, in the whole of Africa we're ahead. In the whole of the world actually. Kuna vitu zenye tunajua, zenye the rest of the world haijui. So I want to just encourage Kenyans, let's keep living our life, let's keep living our way of life, and we'll be protected. Let's be our brothers and sisters keeper.
Nice.
And that way we can actually help each other. And when you actually go through something traumatizing like that, please seek help.
Seek help.
If the help doesn't come to you, please seek help. As Rose said earlier, that it's so important kusaidiwa na mtu mwingine, because we are not experts of our own emotions. We can actually have other people help us work through them.
Asante sana Doc. Rose, our final words?
I think final words yangu ni kusema every Kenyan has a part to play. and si lazima tukue gava sisi wote, si lazima tukue security sisi wote. All of us have a part to play. Even in my little world, kwa nyumba, kwa estate, do I know my neighbors? If I see somebody do something, nita report ama sita report. So mtu asikaya seme hiyo ni kazi ya gava ama hiyo ni kazi ya kina Dr. Oscar. Then watatusaidia na countering when it happens, but ku prevent ni sisi tukue kwa ground, and even seeking the help that you need. Kama you're going through something, depression, mental health, maana mtu anaanguka kwa hizo vitu, help them. Watafutie tu njia, find some help for them. Those are my last words. Also, please don't forget to follow me. Grief Angels podcast. Media, find us on YouTube. We're happy to hear your story. We're happy to help the victims of anybody who's surviving, struggling with grief. Talk to us.
Okay, asante sana.
Nikimalizia nilikuwa nataka kuuliza doc before unajua kuna mabo wenyewe maybe wanataka therapy ama madem wenyewe kwa pale mtaani wenyewe wanasikiza Vibes Radio. Na pia kwa issue yetu tumesikia pia kuna mavijana wenyewe wana go through a lot, unanielewa? So doc, mimi nilikuwa nataka kuuliza kama uko na area ama msi anaweza kurecharge ama unaweza mconnectaje na for therapy, unaona?
Vile tunaweza do, and that's good. Obvious kwa sababu ya watu wenye mi ufanya job now, mi wenda kule ma clients huwa. In fact ile job yenye mobsi ufanya, atuambiangi msi atiende kwa clinic, tutakujanga kwa mtaa. Mi kwanza nilijuanga kwa hii mboka ndo nilijuanga place inaitwa Nyaga's Ndondo. Unajua
ndio nimesikia mpaka unabonga sheng. Ujui Nyaga?
Kwa
unafaa utembe huko.
Inabidi tumpeleke.
Itabidi mnipeleka.
Tunapeleka na Rose mtaani.
Nice.
Ndio place ka Kariash, KJ, place ka hizo. So tumeingia huko na wasi. So mimi sheng si ati sikuwa nikijua, but ile yenye nimejua saa hii kwa sababu ya maboys kwa mtaa. So that's the reason. So vile tunaweza do, wanaweza ku reach out kwenyu, then tunaweza connect nao. Tujue ni mitaa gani mtaka hata ma events za tunaweza fanya kitu kubwa. Because counseling ya one-on-one hizi saidia Wakenya wote. Let's say tunafanya ma events zinaweza reach watu more.
Absolutely. Na tunaweza partner pia with Vibes Radio.
That's what I'm saying.
Take it to the next level.
We can do that.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Wazi guys, asante sana bana.
Thank you so much for having us.
Very inspiring. And I'm sure wasomela vitu mob sana. All right guys, tunaenda kucheza ngoma moja ya Bob Marley and the Wailers, One Love. Tunataka hiyo love is spread out there man. Kenyans need that. Alafu Raila atacheza kama lakini pia remember Safaricom is here to remind you that unaweza jishindia kakiru. If you're a creator na unadai kuweka talent yako hivyo, ma skills zako kwa YouTube Shorts. Raili wewe uchangamkia ma YouTube Shorts
one time. Si mimi nilikwambia nilikosa tu point moja man.
Wachana
si Insta YouTube Shorts hapana. Sasa hiyo ndo nataka sasa nianzie sasa leo.
Jana si nimecheki mdem fulani anapika machapo zingine hapo hivyo man, nikasema what?
Ausikiza sasa mimi YouTube Shorts zangu I think nenda follow. Uliniambia inaitwa Gifted?
Grief Angels.
Grief Angels. Ziko YouTube sio? Hiyo ndo shughuli naenda kufanya nayo.
Smart sana. So tutashow vile Safaricom pia wanaweza kujenga. If you're talented, you're skilled this in January. Wanada yani tumeonja yo talent yako ku upload amazing content on the YouTube Shorts. Na tell exactly how you can do that. We just 10 bob peke yake inaweza fanya buda ujishinde mamita. So we'll talk about that when we come back right now 25 minutes after 9. Good morning Kenya.
Have a reggae morning on Vibes Radio.